Yo, everyone. Today we just got my preseason SuperCoach team heading into the games next week. So to start off, we got Jake Lloyd. Pretty safe selection, had his lowest average last year in the last 4 years. So maybe a bit of potential value to come this year. Maybe not. Maybe we'll stay around the same mark. But even so, averaged about 108. That's still pretty good regardless. So pretty good selection there. Next, Aaron Hall. Only worry with this pick is, the obvious durability concerns across his career that he's had, and you got guys like McDonald, Core, could definitely go back to the half back line and steal some points away from him. Same as the rookies, Artur Bosnovlagi, Matt McGuinness, and Flynn Perez if they play. But either way, he still should average about 100, so that's probably pretty good and safe selection for you. Next up, we got Jordan Dawson. Obviously, coming to Adelaide, he is earmarked to play that more contested inside midfielder role, which does sound really good. However, if you saw him play last year, he did get a lot of outside ball, uncontested ball, which led to a lot of that accumulation, which ended up being a lot of Supercoach points for him. So if he does lose that, he may not necessarily be that great accumulator on the inside as he was compared to on the outside. So I guess you just got to give that a watch in the preseason. But right now, I think if he can replicate this 101 average around about for this year, he should be pretty good selection. I am still looking at around Jordan really Jaden Short for this selection. Just got to keep a watch in the preseason. And next up, we got a mid-pricer, Gideon Coleman from Brisbane. So obviously he is forecasted to play that halfback role, potentially taking over a little bit from what Grant Birchall did last year. So there is definitely going to be points available there. So if he averaged last year 71 in the last 5 games. So if he can do that again, that's pretty good value for what he got, a 263k. But yeah, we just got to see if he is going to be the one that gets that role in the Brisbane team, and if he is even best 22 to start with. Next up, we've got from Gold Coast, Jez McLennan. He's really just a placeholder at this point, but he seems like he's on the brink of their team. So if he could slot in and be a best 22 player for them, then he might be a worthwhile selection. And then we got another one from North Melbourne, Flynn Perez. So like I talked about with Aaron Hall, Perez is potentially going to play that distributor role if he gets in the team. That's what he's been training to do as of the preseason. So yeah, if he gets that, he could certainly average 60s, 70 points per game. This is, I think, his 3rd season in the league. Has got those durability concerns coming off ACL injuries, but if he plays, he could definitely be a pretty good scorer. And then off the bench, I've got Patrick Parnell. Now, I don't necessarily think Patrick Parnell will play round 1. He's more of a placeholder at this point, like most rookies are. But I think he can definitely play throughout the season. He is that Rory Laird type defender when Rory Laird was playing back then, like the back pocket in his All-Australian days. And yeah, Patrick Parnell is basically just in his mould. And if he plays, I think he can definitely score 55, 60 and above. So if he does play throughout the season, he's a pretty good selection. And if he plays round 1, he's probably pretty nice there as well. And then I've got, as my last one, Matt McGuinness, another North Melbourne one, as I mentioned with Aaron Hall. Again, not necessarily sure if he'll play, but a nice distributor, and if he plays, can definitely average around the 60-point mark again as well. And so, heading into the midfield now, we just got Jack McRae, Jack Steele, Clayton Oliver as probably the 3 biggest premiums. Probably all pretty likely to finish in the top 8 midfielders again. I think you pretty much know more with them than any other midfielders. You know what you're going to get. They're probably going to be really consistent, high-scoring players. So I think they're really, good selections, to be honest. So, yeah. And then we got Tom Mitchell. Averaged after the bye last year around about 128. So seems to be well over that leg injury that he got in 2020 or 2019. And so, yeah, if he can go back to that 35 plus disposals game, probably even get some more contested possessions this year rather than he has in previous years. Being a bit more explosive like he did in the second half of last year. And so, yeah, he can definitely, yeah, be a high scoring player. Average, yeah, over 125 probably for the whole season. And then we got, yeah, going down to Charlie Constable. He sounds like he's going to play around that half back role, which he was able to do in his draft year. And yeah, I think he can certainly average just 75, 80 points per game. If he does get in that Gold Coast best 22, that's probably the biggest concern right now over him. But yeah, if he does get in, he certainly sounds like a really good selection, and that he's going to score really highly and make a lot of money. And then we got Jason Horne-Francis. I think he is more of a placeholder, to be honest, at this point, rather than a locked-in selection. He sounds like he's going really well at training, but at North Melbourne, playing against some of the second-tier midfielders and stuff, probably not really realistic against what he's going to face when actually round one comes about. So I think he's got to, keep tabs on him and see how he goes in the preseason. And then we got Nick Dacos. Just sounds like he's going to play across half back, be another really safe selection, maybe average around 65, 70, 75. So that should be pretty good. Probably will play just about every game that he's fit for. So yeah. And we got from Hawthorn, we got Josh Ward. Again, sounds like he's going to be best 22, get quite a decent bit of inside midfield time. Probably average 70, in excess of 70. So yeah, playing across there, he should be really safe selection, and yeah, get quite a decent amount of contested possessions, especially for a rookie and a first year player. And then on the bench we got Greg Clark. So obviously mature age from the Waffle. Sounds like he will definitely play for round one for West Coast. Be straight in that midfield, that 5-6 man rotation cemented in there. So with West Coast midfielder only weakening, it sounds like he'll get quite a few centre bounce attendances and be able to score pretty well. And then we've got, if we go down to the lowest price, from Geelong, Cooper Stevens. Now, it doesn't sound like he's guaranteed to play, but being a third-year player, I think if he does play, not even round one, but throughout the season, I think he can certainly average 65 plus. So, again, placeholder, and if he plays, I think probably pick him, to be honest. And then we got James Cheetahs, just signed a few days ago, from the Sandford Magarey medalist. Sounds like if he plays, he's probably going to average 70, 75-ish, just like probably Michael Gibbons was for Carlton when he signed a few years ago. Playing quite a decent bit of midfield time. Probably take up some of the time that Hugh Greenwood left from last year, even though he doesn't play the same exact type of role. But, yeah. And then we got heading into the rucks. Brodie Grundy, pretty safe selection as well. 115, I think he'll probably average around the same mark. I wouldn't necessarily expect him to go back to his best 125, 130, even though he has been rumoured to be in some of the best shape of his career by reports. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily expect that going into it. And then Sean Darcy, not sold on this pick whatsoever. He's obviously got massive durability concerns, albeit he only missed one game last year. I think he's probably going to miss at least 3 this year, just looking at his past history as well. And even he's had, I think, some Achilles soreness or injuries in the preseason. Doesn't sound like it's going as best as it possibly could. But again, he is, I guess you expect that. He had 2 game-ending injuries at least last year. But even in those games, he managed to score well. So you know that he's got that scoring power regardless. And I guess why you wouldn't pick Max Gawn here, because he does have Luke Jackson in the team, who's probably going to be taking a lot of points off him. And saying that though, Sean Darcy does have Lloyd Meek, who sounds like he's really pressing for selection. And he might definitely steal points with him as well. And then we got, for this bench spot, Sam Hayes. Doesn't sound like he's going to play round 1, but I think if he does play, he could be a lot like Riley O'Brien was back a few years ago, and make a quick 200, 250k if he gets in like round 5, round 8, or whenever. And then into the forward line, we got Josh Dunkley, who, to be honest, is probably only holding on by a thread in my team, really. You look at it last year, he averaged significantly lower after he came back from that shoulder injury than before. Sounds like he might play a little bit of that tagging role that he was last season, since it worked really well for them in the finals. And probably a little bit outside the centre square a bit more, maybe on the forward line or a wing, given they probably want to put Treloar back into the midfield, since they were basically playing him as a pseudo half forward flanker, basically, in the finals last year. But we'll see with him how he performs in the preseason. If he performed like he did last year, then obviously you're going to start him. And he is, in my team right now. But he might not necessarily be by the end of the preseason games. And then we got DeGoey. So he had an injury a few days ago, but he sounds like he's over it. And he is being reported to play a lot of forward time, but I think he will certainly by the time the season comes around and Craig McRae realises that Collingwood are losing a lot of games, that he needs to put his best players where they play their best. And I think DeGoey does play his best in the midfield as opposed to forward. So I think that's going to happen pretty much. And then we got, going down to the mid-prices, we got Cam Rayner as the next pick. So obviously coming off that ACL injury last year, I think he will significantly improve from when we last saw him in 2020. Probably won't average 100 or even 95 or anything, but I think can certainly go around that 85, 80 even mark. So at 278k, I think he gets pretty comfortably to 400k and probably even 450 plus k, to be honest. So I think, just see how he goes in the preseason, see how explosive, how powerful he is in games, and how much midfield time he's getting. Because he sounds like he also might play a little bit of half forward. Brisbane seem to be gassing up their players a lot, so you just got to be wary of that. Because sometimes some teams like to do that a little bit more than others. But yeah. And then we got Cornelio. So obviously one of the most highly selected players in the competition. Seems pretty safe. Seems like he'll play a lot of forward as well as midfield, but he is a proven scorer with years of scoring 100 before, so I think if he averages at least 80, 85, I think, obviously a really good selection. And then you got Willie Rioli. So obviously he hasn't played for the last 2 years. Has been training with West Coast since about August last year, so he's been having a pretty nice long preseason, around 8-ish months. And when he did last play in 2019, he was playing progressively more midfield as the season advanced. And so, I think now with that weakened West Coast midfield, Shuey's injured. You don't know if he'll necessarily play many games this season, like he hasn't really the past few years. So, Rioli could definitely play 50-60% time in the midfield, as well as playing the other time forward. And, definitely a possibility to score 1-2 goals a game. So, could certainly score 70-75 plus this season. And Charlie Canner. Not necessarily sold on this selection. Durability concerns are rife, but I think, and his scoring power isn't even too good, to be honest. He'll probably average maybe 60-65. But just hope maybe he can kick 5-6 goals one game, and you ride out those price rises to maybe 350-400k, and then you can offload him to maybe a full-on premium or something. And then if we go now to the forward rookies, we've got Finn McGuinness. Sounds like he'll play for Hawthorn in round 1. Probably more that outside on a wing, half forward role. But nonetheless, this is his 3rd year. And I think he could probably average around 60-65. So, good selection, I think, to be honest, if he plays. And Elijah Hollins. Not actually sure not necessarily sure if he does play round one, but I think he will definitely play throughout the season. Obviously, provided he doesn't get injured again, and if he does play, probably 65, 70 average. Even if he plays on a half forward flank, I think he can score maybe a goal maybe every 1 or 2 games. Going along with 15 plus touches probably. So yeah, that's the team reveal. Thanks for watching. Yeah.